The time is now. The place, Los Angeles, California. The me, Jeff Gersman from GiantBomb.com. Hello, welcome. The day one of the E3 2016 is complete in the bag. 2 more to go, but we are here tonight for the next several hours. I am starting off with the editors, the people of GiantBomb.com. Brad Shoemaker's here. Hello. Hi, Dan Reichert.
Hello.
Austin Walker down there. Got Alex Navarro, Vinny Caravello in the back.
Good.
Thank you for calling me a person. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thanks for calling me an editor. Video editor.
Video editor.
You edit video.
I'm sitting here.
No, I'm saying that's your E3 title of like, are you an editor? Yes.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Let me into this thing.
Executive producer.
I'm an exhibitor.
Yeah.
An exhibitor at GameStop.
I don't know that those terms carry as much favor as they used to around here.
It's a fair point.
I'm an influencer.
We're influencers
Yes.
from what I've seen.
Yeah.
To see
We're winfluencers.
Whoa, that's pretty good.
pinfluencer.
If you're a bowling influencer, we did not have our own entrance at the Microsoft
No,
event
we
last
did
night.
not. We did not. The influencers did, but we did not. All right. So, hey, E3 happened. We saw some games.
We did.
So before we get some guests in here and talk to them about stuff, why don't we talk to you guys about things? Now, The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wind. You guys saw
Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild.
Yes.
Breath of the Wind would be a good name
That's
too,
like
though,
a
wouldn't
good,
it?
like,
There's already a Wind Waker.
Yeah.
It woke up.
Yeah,
It woke up.
Best
Now
Legend
it's
of
breathing.
Zelda
Now.
games.
Okay.
Best Legend. One of the best.
One of the best.
Okay, one of the best.
One of the best.
You could make the argument.
You could make the argument.
Yeah.
Top 5.
I would entertain it.
Top 5.
Top 5 dead or alive. Who's your favorite Links that are dead or alive? All right, so
Yeah, don't worry about it.
that's Scott.
Oh,
So you guys played that. You recorded a separate thing that will go up not long after that. So we don't.
Yes.
Maybe we won't go into too much depth here because
We
you
recorded
guys
like
recorded
a-
a big long thing.
It's like a 16-minute thing. It was
Yeah, that's
me,
big.
Brad,
It's huge.
and
It's long.
it's
Yeah.
giant. Yeah. We sat down on the floor and
I mean, it's
recorded
twice
that.
as long as the Giant Thrones cast.
That-
Check this out. You want to hear about the state of E3? We
Yes.
sat down on the show floor and recorded this thing.
Yeah.
There was so much empty space on the edge of the West Hall.
E3 is crazy.
That
There
we-
were
Wow.
domes where there used to be an Activision booth.
It was empty and quiet enough that we could sit down on the show floor
No
and
pedestrian traffic.
record a podcast.
is that near the T-Mobile booth?
It was near the exit to the food truck court, but it's a ghost town.
It's real weird here this
Yeah.
year.
Yep.
It seems like a lot of space between booths. Like the walkways between booths are real
like they're like
wide.
double wide.
They tried to kind of stretch things out, but they're still like at the edge of this. Well, it's like there's just nothing here.
and there's just not as many people.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, not as many people, not as
nearly.
many booths. It's weird. Like kind of nice.
Yeah.
But it's yes. That's I everyone I talk to, I kind of say like, oh, how's the show going? And the show just started, but still people were just like, yeah, I don't know why I'm here showing games. Like it was like a lot of people from publishers going. Pfft. And I was like, man, okay. Like I tried not to prompt them and say like, this is bad, right? And they were just like, this seems weird, and maybe I don't know that this is gonna happen like this, or this show, like, give it a couple years, this show is gonna look completely different.
I walked both halls before the doors opened just to kind of get the lay of the land, and I felt like I had missed some giant chunk. It's like, oh, is there
Yes.
some something in Kensha Hall? Or,
Yeah, Kensha
I felt
Hall
like there
came
were
back.
huge things that I was missing.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh wait, no, there's just no giant Activision or EA or anything.
The Nintendo booth is fucking rad.
Yes,
It is. Yeah, Nintendo booth is really
It's
nice.
It's like a Disneyland amusement ride.
It's like Zelda amusement park.
Let me set this up. So
Paint
they
me a
take
picture,
they
Vinny.
take us into
All right, I'm
like
gonna close my
all
eyes.
right,
You just
You can wait on the line. You wait on the line, and they let us into the theater.
Ooh, a line.
We're
Okay.
in a theater. We watched
in a
basically
theater.
the trailer they showed for the Breath of the Wild, right? Then the projector that's showing the theater.
Wait, you're forgetting the whole theatrical intro from that girl.
Oh, you want to do an impression? It was a
I mean, it was a
little
lot
over the top.
of theater, high school theater stuff.
It
Like,
was.
awaken to the breath of the wind.
It was a
You
lot
sit
of,
down.
like, yeah.
Players, be ready.
You're
a lot
about
of
to
that.
enter the world of The Legend of Zelda, right?
Yeah.
And then, all right, so they show the trailer, and then on the projector, a stone door opens as the projector screen goes up and reveals the booth behind it,
But
like a Disneyland
what's being
ride.
projected
Wait.
on the screen is
Yes.
the same
That's
thing as what
amazing.
has been
Yes.
built behind the screen.
Okay.
So
Oh,
as
yeah,
the
yeah.
screen
Matches.
rises,
Yes.
it look like seamlessly meshes with the
Yeah,
stone
the
wall
stone
behind
house,
it.
right.
Pretty
You
cool.
walk
And the
in,
door opens.
there.
and then you walk through a tunnel into the booth which is decked out in trees and the forest and whatever.
Guard towers, like wooden guard
There's-
towers with moblins up there.
We didn't have time
Real
to.
moblins.
There are
Yeah,
trigger
yeah,
points
they hired
as you
moblins.
walk that are sensing where you are that make lightning go off.
Yeah,
and
we
sounds
didn't. We didn't have time to see much of it, but there's supposed to be like animatronic shit in
There's
there.
a day
Is
and,
Chuck E. Cheese in this
Yeah.
It's
motherfucker?
immersive. This is what they've been saying.
there's a day
Yeah.
and night
Linky
cycle in the
cheese.
booth.
This is what the NX is.
There's a day-night cycle in the booth.
It's an
What?
experience you go
What did
to.
this smell like?
The
What did
Nintendo-
this smell like?
The Nintendo booth is the
Nintendo.
NX.
Happiness, joy.
Okay.
It's not how Gwent smelled. Gwent smelled like
Smelled like Redmond, Washington.
Then we played Zelda. It was okay.
It was really, come on, we
It was
were all
pretty neat.
excited about
It
it.
was
It's
pretty neat.
really-
Yeah.
You were excited
It's
too.
neat.
Yeah,
It's real cool.
It sounds cool.
Yeah.
There are things that are weird about it, and you're gonna have to get used to, like control scheme stuff, because Nintendo always just
Star
kind
Fox Zero control scheme stuff.
Not
or-
that bad.
Okay,
Not
all right.
motion
Okay.
control stuff, I hear.
Nintendo always just kind of says fuck you to the conventions of like control methods or layouts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So like A, which is the bottom one, is dash, and Y, which is the top one, is jump. So at one point I wanted to run and try to jump and get on this plateau thing.
Bottom one would be B on a Nintendo.
Yeah.
console.
I
That's
always-
right.
Okay, so
Yeah,
B,
B
and then
was
Y,
dash.
right?
B was dash.
And X is to the side, yeah.
Or sprint.
Playing those forever, and I still
Yeah,
can't remember that.
Okay.
And so I had to do this like claw thing to do a run jump, but like I don't even know if that's the type of game where you need to do that.
Right.
Because that was totally not the right way to get to those treasure chests anyway. But yeah,
Just pause it and select codfish, and then everything's fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
it'll be right up, just easy to understand.
Left
Okay.
trigger, right trigger.
Yeah.
there was totally a moment where I got to the top of a tower and it went to my map screen and a bunch of icons showed up and it said regional map extended.
Oh.
Yeah. It said
It
that
has
on the
that.
screen.
It has
It's
that.
like that.
I mean, you've got a tablet in a Zelda game. That's already weird.
Yeah. Link has an
Android-based,
iPad.
right? He's got
Yeah.
an Android.
Yeah.
I saw the interface
Oh.
on that. It's not.
We mentioned this in the thing. He jumped off the tower in the podcast and ragdolled.
He died in Ragdoll.
I hit some
Ragdoll, like,
rocks,
slid-
and Link just gets
Link's-
fucked up and rolls down a hill, and
Link's
goes into a
into a
river
like
and sinks to the
Just
bottom.
Link's
Did anyone yell,
lifeless,
Nathan?
lifeless corpse bouncing down a hill into some. It was.
It's like something
really-
you shouldn't have seen.
It was
It's
really
like, oh.
really disturbing.
weirdly un-Zelda-like about that.
Did anyone be like, oh, the build's not supposed to do that?
No.
No, I think they were.
Nintendo like
I was just expecting them to
Weird.
turn red and
Yeah.
like make that noise, and that's it.
It seems
And
really
then Ganon
cool.
laughs, and you hold in the
Yeah.
reset button.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, there's a whole-
It seems really cool, but it does that thing that Nintendo E3 demos have been doing forever of having an invisible timer running, and then it was 15 minutes, and when you hit it, it just thanks for playing and interrupts
Yeah.
whatever you're in the middle of, and that was just not enough time to grapple with like the systems on systems
Oh,
that exist,
sure.
and because
Right.
there's cooking and crafting. There's like
Climbing.
that temperature meter affects you. Like I ran across the map to a snowy area, and
okay,
they were
right.
like, don't go in there until you put on your green tunic. And I went in there, and the description on the green tunic straight up said cold resistance on it.
Cool.
So I put that on, and then I could go in there without taking
I
damage.
heard there was like some hot food you could eat that would also keep you warm in
Oh,
those
right.
situations.
I love hot food.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Ask
that'd be-
anyone.
I would
The-
love some hot
A spicy
food.
meatball.
The one of the things that I heard going around is that like they're going to different sites and showing every site like a different unique item or something. And the one that Chris Waters was telling me about was like a fire rod, and it's basically just a torch that never goes out. You never need to replace. And that got me thinking about like the survival mechanisms and like the fact that things break means that like you just get a thing that doesn't break, and that's super magical basically.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's really interesting.
Yeah.
With any of your swords or weapons or whatever, I was just kind of messing around with the controls. You can just throw it at a thing, and when I realized that I threw my main sword, I thought like, oh, cool, does it do like a boomerang thing and come back? But it just donked off the guy's head and fell in some tall grass, and I had to go like find my sword and pick it up. You can just lose your sword that way.
Yeah, that's cool.
Just like real life.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you guys will have more on that?
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
a
that'll
thing
go
going
up. I'm gonna try to get that up after we're done
Great.
here. So
I went and checked out Titanfall 2.
Yo.
And Austin did as well
I
separately.
snuck in.
Yeah, he snuck into EA Play. I felt like I snuck in too, even though I was on the list. Like that whole thing felt like.
Speaking of like the state of E3, it's like on one hand it's this huge space with like a giant
Yeah, so
stadium.
EA has its own thing going on. And I think today's the last day for it.
Yeah.
And they're showing it's Battlefield, Titanfall, and the 3 sports games.
Yes.
FIFA, NHL, and Madden. And then they're running a Madden tournament. Anyway, I went over to that thing, and they had like a little red carpet there, and it's like EA Play, all this other stuff, and they're blasting electronic music. That I was
Very
kinda
electronic
into.
arts.
Yeah,
So-
that's
CDR?
electronic arts.
is that
Yes.
Scott?
Yes, definitely. And that thing was empty.
Yeah.
Like it was weird.
Yeah.
Like it was really good if you were there and you wanted to play a lot of Titanfall because you could
I
stand
just
in line
looped.
to play Titanfall and then go, all right, I'm going to walk back around and play more Titanfall.
Speaking of amusement parks, which is basically what I did there
Yeah,
too.
yeah. I played it once and then I was like, okay, I'm going to go.
I played it twice.
Smart. because that game seems real good.
The game seems real cool. There's a grappling hook.
Grappling hook is
That's like-
really good.
Was it
We
just
can't-
multiplayer?
Yeah, just multiplayer.
They were
one map.
loading people in 10 at a time, or however many people it is to play.
Yeah, one map, one mode. The mode's called Bounty. It's like a capture and control point thing, but instead of just like being in the point, it's about killing NPCs that are in that point, or getting kills in general. I think anything in that point progresses your meter until you control that point, and then it spawns in like a super boss. Like in this case, it was a super titan basically.
Yeah.
And whoever gets the kill and then like gets on that titan or finishes it.
Yeah, it's like
gets
you
a ton
have
of
to
extra points.
you have to like doom the Titan and then mount it and take it to claim the
right.
bounty.
Or do the execution in a titan.
Oh, right,
That
right, yes.
reminds me of that Halo thing. Was it Warzone where they would occasionally
Yes.
drop those
Sort
like
of,
super
yeah.
powerful things?
Yeah.
It's very similar to that.
But man, that game feels good. The grappling hook, like you think about like jumping on a Titan in old Titanfall. Like you had to get up on a building first and kind of land on it. You had to kind of position it. You could get going and double jump and kind of get on it sometimes. But the grappling hook, you just grapple it. You can grapple yourself into your own Titan, and there are animations for that. You can grapple it. The rodeoing a Titan is now a multi-step process. Like you kind of pull the thing off and fly off, and have to get back on to finish it.
Do you fly off every time? Is
Yeah.
it this like hand animation?
Yeah, but the thing that you do is you're grabbing like a battery from it when you come off.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can then use that battery to boost your own Titan or your
weird.
friend's Titans.
So do you still do the shooting into the
you
like
can
brain
just jump
thing?
back on and there's
You jump back on, and there's an open hole, and then you
Yeah.
just throw a grenade in
Yeah,
there.
right. so
Oh, okay.
And take it out that way, and
Nice.
that's real good too.
So when you use the grappling hook, does it automatically reel you in?
Yeah.
Yes.
it can.
'Cause
So
some of that,
If you hold the button down, does it not?
some of the footage they showed made it look like there was a swinging
there
aspect
is.
to
So
it.
this is the thing. It's like so. I've been playing a lot of Overwatch. This is not Widowmaker's grappling
Okay.
hook of like hook zip.
Yeah.
Because what you can do, and what I did a couple of times was like I'm running. I do a double jump up. There's a Titan here, like in front of me, where this light is in front of me. I'm running towards it. I do a double jump up. I hook onto this like big tower here, and then swing around the back of the tower because it's a grappling hook. It's a line that you're on. And you
So
can
it's
lift-
not shooting you
It's
up.
not shooting me up
Okay.
unless I like double jump and like move towards it. It can be a thing that just gets you up to a place.
So it's not like the Batman, like the Arkham thing, where it's just
No, it's not by default.
But it can
anyway.
be.
But it'll sort of do that, and then like so I was jumping onto doomed enemy Titans with the grappling hook, getting up on there, and then immediately launching off. And when you
Right.
jump off of a Titan, you seem to get a boost. So it was like this really good way to just go, fuck it, I'm getting in the air, and then you're like, and then I'm landing on another Titan and doing the same thing. Like there's some really cool mobility stuff.
I never felt like I didn't know what I was doing. Like, and that's the thing with
Yeah.
something that feels so analog as the way their grappling hook works. It's like it was never like, oh, I really love it. If I could just get up there really quick, I was able to do that.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
if I was like, oh, I want to do something weird and like catch here and then swing into this open window, I could do that. It felt really natural. The movement feels so good.
It already felt so good in the last one. Like that's so
Yeah.
cool to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
You
can't,
can always
like-
make it better.
And the grappling hook is a loadout item,
Right.
so you don't have to take it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, weird.
Fucking why wouldn't you take it?
But you can't like trip a Titan or something.
Oh, you can-
It's not like made to like run.
I don't
Sound like an
I don't
AT-AT
know.
thing.
I don't know.
No.
I bet not.
You
They just
can
break it?
scorpion people though.
Right.
Oh yeah, like
Yeah.
the midair
Oh,
thing
they
in the
showed that.
trailer.
Yeah.
The other abilities were like send out a hollow clone of you, or like do a thing that pulses and adds people to the map. Which like okay,
Yeah,
if
sure,
you don't want a
fine.
grappling hook, I
Yeah,
guess.
why wouldn't you?
Why are you playing
just
this
take
game?
the grappling hook.
The Titans are also feel really interesting. There are only 2. There are going to be 6 in the full game.
Yeah.
They have like unique abilities beyond just like having. I'm
Like
guessing
before it
they'll
was
have
like speed core or damage core. Now it's like laser cannon core.
Yeah, and that's just like, oh, you're fucking dead. I got a big
Yeah.
chest laser, and it feels really powerful and good when it's like 3 laser beams converge, and then it's like, poof.
Yeah, and they kept on that Titan. They had pre-configured loadouts there. So on that Titan, it also had the shield that absorbs bullets and fires them back, which is still fun.
Well, there's another one.
There's another one that was like a heat
It's
shield
a heat
that
shield,
melts.
which it melts bullets or people. I found out.
You just walk into them, or can you like bash them?
You can just walk into people on the ground like humans.
It would make sense that a person would melt against a heat shield.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
It's unpleasant.
Really exciting, really fun.
Yeah, they were showing it on PS4, or I guess I should say it was PS4 controllers. Actually,
Yes. Right.
maybe that was not actually a PlayStation 4, but
It was running really well on whatever it was.
whatever it was, it ran real good.
I'm excited to play more of that this year.
Yeah, definitely. That felt really good. It's just and they seem to be saying all the right things about that game in terms of like, hey, the progression's going to be blown out and like just more stuff. More stuff is what that game really needs.
And the single player, which I'm excited to see, it was not there sadly, but
Right.
but again,
So that was over at EA Play, right?
Yes.
That's where you both
Yeah.
played it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that thing, like they were selling merchandise, and if you wanted to spend $180 on a shirt, they were selling like weird, fancy
Do
custom
I?
Mass Effect stuff. And
There's a $450 Titan statue if that's the sort of thing you're into.
Yeah, well, you know.
Does it work? Like, can you get into
Yeah,
it?
it's a yep.
Okay.
It's small though, so you have to be tiny to get into it.
Oh, okay. Like
So
real
you
tiny.
might not.
Like babies can get into it?
Babies
It's for
can-
babies? Jason's got a
sm-
baby.
Ja-
You want
Jason's
one?
baby's a little bit too big. It's a little bit too
unfortunately, EA Play is over, so
Yeah.
we're not gonna be able to get one. They'll probably never sell them again.
That's a shame.
I wonder how many of those they sold over the course of this thing.
Two.
Yeah.
I saw it because I was playing with like business people, and they like were shitty at that game, but they liked it. So I
Yeah.
bet you they were. Let's buy a Titan. That's what business
Yeah,
people.
so that
do.
was it was fun
They
going to
did
this
it
event.
as
It was-
They're robots.
Yeah, I'm a businessman. Going to this thing that was like theoretically open to the public, and then playing against them. Like, you know, they had all the chat headsets and all that stuff, and there were people being real shitty. I fucked those fools up.
Yep.
And
being
was,
real
was
shitty in
top player in the entire game.
It was Brian.
So
Won
it was, it was Brian was there. That guy's an
yeah.
asshole.
So that was an extra level of like, yeah, all right, fuck y'all.
Hey, Brad, you went to a thing that I got bounced out of.
Yes, I did.
Wait,
I
what?
went to Sony.
I
to
didn't
take-
get
kicked
it.
you out?
I got
Tried to take-
ejected.
You know what is
He's
amazing?
got warrants at Sony.
You know what's amazing is that they said, "Oh, it's a real small room. We can only take one." So Vinny took off, and then I got in there, and there was an empty chair for the demo.
You had to leave one empty chair open for Elijah.
There were not enough kiosks though for you to have jumped on to play Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah.
Which they showed they did the press conference demo again, except way more, where they ran around a village talking to like quest givers and vendors and stuff. Weapons in that game have rarity.
Okay.
I don't think they drop from enemies or anything, but like when you're buying them from vendors, they were green and purple.
Okay.
Costumes, there's not armor per se. It's more like they're handling armor like the new Tomb Raider did, where they're pre-designed costumes. They're full outfits that have like set attributes on them.
Okay. Yeah.
So you'll just buy it once and have it. Like it's not a full loot system necessarily, but it's kind of close to that.
But does it change your aesthetic? Like
yeah,
what you look
it's
like?
like totally. You look totally different, but also it'll be like, well, you get plus 10 like electrical damage resistance with this or something like that. Trying to think. That was kind of it. Otherwise, they did the same demo again.
Yeah.
Right.
But I got to play it, and it was like what they let us play was just a combat sandbox. There weren't any like quests turned on.
But how did it handle?
It feels good. It feels really good. Like the character movement is good. Like the dodging, the running. Like you feel nimble. You feel like you can maneuver around those big lumbering robots. It actually like I thought about what that game is built out of, which is on paper sounds like exactly the worst kind of game, which is like bow combat against aggressive melee enemies. Like
Right,
like
yep.
on paper, all it is kiting big monsters that are constantly trying to rush you with a weapon that you both have to aim precisely and also charge up to get damage with.
Right.
But it still, even with all that, it still felt really good. It was super satisfying to play. Like I like certain enemies you can like kill with like one shot kill if you hit them in the right weak spot.
Did you
And
do
I did
the
that a
thing
couple times.
where you like grapple them to the ground?
Yeah, I did that.
Yeah,
So it seems like if you sneak up on them, you can just tether them. Like you don't have to disable them first. You have to hit them with either 2, or it seemed like maybe it depends on the size. Like
Right.
you had to get them with like a minimum of 3 tethers before it would fully pull them down. But once they were in that state, you could run up and hack them.
Okay.
That's what they did in the press conference with the.
The ox thing. That
Yeah,
they
it was
started
the elk
riding?
looking thing.
Yeah.
Which so in that case that became a mount. But then I did that against one of the smaller like wolf-like kind of robots, and in that case it became like a combat buddy.
Nice.
Oh,
Like
cool.
it went and started helping me attack stuff. They said there'll be upgrades for you, so you can start hacking the larger robots and making them do stuff. But they wouldn't say like every type of robot will have a different function when you hack it.
Yeah.
But they didn't say what that was. They had like tons of different like bow types, different types of damage, different like trap arrows and stuff like that. It played super well. It looks really nice.
Cool.
Like I think we're
Exciting.
all super justified in that game it wears what it is on its sleeve. It's an open world game with
Yeah. Totally.
with
And that's next year that's
yeah,
out?
March.
yeah.
I think, right?
You
Yeah.
saw the second half of that, right?
super promising.
Was Days Gone?
Yeah, I checked out Days Gone.
What is it?
They're still not talking too much about it. They played the demo again from the press conference, but went through some different routes through that lumberyard
Okay.
to show off some of the other stuff you can do. Like there were multiple points where you could like trigger something in the environment to stop a bunch of the zombies chasing you. Like he was running along and like sort of. I mean, I assume the guy playing knew it was there, obviously, and like hit a trigger point where he could pull out his knife and cut a rope that would drop a bunch of logs on zombies that were chasing him. I don't know how you would know that stuff though if you hadn't like designed that area.
Well, I'm
yourself.
guessing that's a game that's probably very much about going through those areas multiple times and looking for the best way.
Can you set up those traps like
I don't
Predator and
know. I
just
don't
like a bunch of
know.
log
They
traps?
still weren't talking a whole lot of details. It is an open world game. They did say so. You're a bounty hunter.
I am a bounty hunter.
Yeah. Yeah. You're in a world where like people like live in very secluded like fortified settlements because of the zombies.
Yeah.
But you're a guy who goes out there and kills zombies and takes jobs.
Are they zombies or are they not zombies?
I guess I didn't ask.
Okay.
They seem like zombies.
They are zombie-like.
I was going to ask
at
if,
minimum.
I was going to ask if they even like had a justification for why they're zombies, or if that's even like meaningful in the story.
Yeah,
but,
so
but
that you didn't necessarily get an impression like here's the hook of this game, here's the thing.
Not really. I mean,
here's why we're making this. Here's what this is. Like,
all I can say is like I said, that same demo from last night with a little bit of other stuff, and then like it's open. They said they're trying to encourage exploration, and you're basically earning money by doing jobs for these settlements.
Okay.
Going out and killing zombies. That's kind of all they were talking about. It seems pretty early still.
Cool. Alex, you checked out some stuff at 2K.
Yeah, Austin and I went by there. We went and saw both Civilization 6 and Mafia 3.
Civ 6 was hands-on. Mafia 3
Yes.
was just a demonstration.
God,
Of
how hard is it to play Civ at E3?
Really hard.
They give you 60 turns. I mean, that's been every demo of a Civ game I've gotten at E3 is always like, here's the first 60 turns of a game.
It was like a clean room. Also, it
Yes.
was like
It was extreme. It was like
a
pure
little
white
scary.
curtains, guys in hazard suits. It was very weird. I'm not sure what was going on, but we did get to play Civ, and I mean, getting into the nitty gritty of the mechanics of that is maybe a little dull,
Right.
but
it
like
has a cool art style.
yes, it's reminiscent of, I would say, like Civ Rev, but a lot more detailed.
You zoom out, and the map, kind of the fog of war map area, becomes kind of like a hand inked map,
Yeah.
sort of, which was cool.
So yeah, anytime you go to a territory that you haven't been to before, and then you move a unit out of it, it keeps that like brown paper map look to it, as opposed to like just darkening what was already there.
Yeah. That's cool.
It's nice looking. They're adding some smart stuff in there with diplomacy systems, fleshing a lot of that stuff out.
The cities feel cool. Like the big thing that they're trying to sell is like, hey, it really matters where you build your cities now because of the way resources on tiles allow you to build in different areas.
Yeah.
You're building districts, and the districts get adjacency bonuses, and like it's like I built a religious district of some sort that was like, hey, you're going to get a bonus whenever this is next to a mountain or an unused forest, basically, like a forest that you're not already like hunting in or built.
Or you haven't built like a lumber yard on.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
And so like, okay, I could see how different cities will feel like they have different character in
Yes.
this game in a way that in the past
You can
that isn't the case.
specialize them in a way that
Okay. How about Mafia?
So the thing with Mafia,
Mafia's cool.
Yeah, the thing with Mafia is that like it's exactly what they presented that game as. It is very much a pulpy revenge story set in the late '60s in a faux New Orleans. The city has, I think they said, 10 distinct districts, including
Something like
the Bayou section as well. The main thing that they talked about, other than just like the here's your open world crime story stuff, is there's actually you have mob lieutenants that work for you. So like you were originally part of a mob that got mostly wiped out. You are rebuilding your own sort of criminal empire while getting revenge on the Italian mob. And so you have these 3 different people who are like associated with you, and you can actually like your relationship with them kind of matters.
Right. So like the setup is basically those 10 different districts. You're going in and you're trying to take control of them. And the way you do that is, it reminds me a little bit of like Mercenaries in that like, there's a boss that you want to take out here.
There's a pimp in this district. Go fuck up his club and kill him.
Right.
Okay.
And or
Yeah,
like, but
I can do
before
that.
you, but you're doing that to like basically do enough damage to open up a mission to
Right.
go do like the big story mission in that
Yeah,
district,
yeah.
right?
Yes.
And so it doesn't seem like the other side stuff. That stuff still seems kind of handcrafted, right? Like the
Yeah.
stuff that they showed from there didn't seem just like boring, repeatable, like
Wasn't
the
randomly
same
generated,
3
yeah. Right,
missions
right,
over and
right.
over
Okay,
again. It
okay.
felt like, oh, this is a unique firefight situation or a stealth situation, and you do enough of those to unlock the big story thing. And then once you do that,
You have a sit down.
you have a sit down with your crew,
Okay.
and they're like, "Listen, I don't care what the other 2 people get throughout the rest of the place. This place is mine. You know I have history in this district. Give me this district."
And the thing
like-
they showed was a scenario where one of your lieutenants had basically been asked out of everything up to that point.
Right.
And so you have to make the choice, like, are you going to please him by giving him this section that maybe doesn't really belong to him? Or are you just going to say, no, this doesn't make any sense for what I'm doing? And the result of that, like, if you piss that dude off too much, he will go to war with you, and you will have to go through and fight him. And that's a scenario you might never see if you actually maintain those relationships and keep them on the up and up.
Would you say that there's like a full strategic layer to it? Is it that?
I wouldn't go that
Is it
far.
that
No,
complicated, or?
it's just story choice mattering to that degree.
Okay.
Right, and you know what it felt like to me was like the sort of system I wished had been in Mad Max, which is like give me something at the strategic layer once I liberate these places.
Right.
Make it pretend as if this isn't just a switch I'm flipping.
Right.
You know,
That
give me
sounds cool.
a different upgrade based on whether or not I give it to this lieutenant or that lieutenant.
So if you're fighting the Italian mob, what mob are you part of?
So like you were originally part of the Black Mob in New Orleans.
Okay.
Yeah.
They wipe you out, and then you group up with like a disenfranchised Italian, the Haitian mob, and then
This Irish guy who was
dude.
associated
Okay.
with the Italian mob for a while.
Right. So it's like you're building your own thing. The last thing I'll say about it is just like there's music playing in that game constantly, like
In a good way?
non-diegetic, like cool soundtrack, like Creedence songs.
There is a sequence where you are creeping through the swamp while stalking like a mob lieutenant, and like Creedence just starts blasting through that bit.
Yeah, there are
okay.
definitely some True Detective season 1 style, this shit gets dark
Visual
and the
stuff,
corruption,
yeah.
the visual stylings mixed with just kind of like the bayou is creepy.
Yeah.
And it's pretty during sunset, but like the second it's dark, don't be there.
So there's apparently a ton of licensed music in that game.
Okay, cool.
And it also has a really interesting framing device because it's all told through a series of interviews in a documentary style thing with people who were there.
Yeah.
So there's like one that's like an interview from the 70s. There's one with a guy who was like, very old at this point, like in the early 2000s.
Like a Band of Brothers thing?
Like not exactly, but like more like the thing that was mentioned to me was Cocaine Cowboys.
Yeah, all right.
That style
Yep,
of
yep.
documentary thing. So
Totally.
it has a really neat hook to it.
Yeah,
that
that sounds
way.
really cool.
I'll say
Yeah.
like some of the animation looked a little janky.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, it has
it's
a
an
lot
op-
of the
it's-
open world jank
It's an
in
open
it.
world game.
Yeah.
But like I think that there's enough there between the style and like some of the combat stuff looked
Yeah.
kind of neat and the meta structure. So
It was way more interesting to me than any Mafia game has been up to this point.
also
Sure.
it looks like I'm
No,
gonna get to kill some KKK guys. Like that's
Yeah.
all right.
They do not shy away from touching on that
Nope.
stuff.
All right.
Wow.
Okay.
Well, that sounds good.
Vinny, you were around. I know you saw Zelda. Did you check out anything else, or Zelda?
No, not after I got ejected from Sony.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
too dejected.
You got booted out.
We could probably go play that if you want to go check it out tomorrow.
I really want to play Horizon. We tried to go to the EA E3 live,
Yeah.
but it wasn't open.
The public E3. Yeah, it sounds like it opened at 5 o'clock tonight, and then
Yeah.
it's open all day tomorrow, I guess.
Yeah.
It would make sense Friday afternoon. Probably not a lot of people would
I
come
walked
around for
past that thing because it's between the EA thing
Tuesday,
and
rather.
proper E3, and I was like, oh, I wonder if they took over the whole inside. And I found a map of the show. It's like, oh no, this little county fair ass looking like this
Yep.
looks like they should be selling corn dogs here, but instead it's like
County fairs are pretty big.
it looks like the section
smaller
of
county
a
fair.
county fair where
Okay.
it's like I'm throwing ping pong balls into
Yeah.
goldfish bowls, and
Okay.
then there's like pink popcorn.
That's
You get
Fool's
a-
game. It's Fool's game.
Yeah, no,
Don't do that.
No,
Don't do the
I got
rings on the
stuck with
soda
goldfish
bottles
for
either.
years. It's
Okay.
that is a really
You get a funnel
fool's
cake in
game.
there?
No, it didn't look like there was any food in there. It
Turkey
just,
leg?
Where's Rory? Can we get some funnel cake? Is that?
that thing looked real weird. Like it was like
It was
two
smaller
game
than I thought.
publishers. HTC which had a Vive area that looked like it might have held like their tents, and the tent looked like it was maybe big enough to hold one Vive, maybe two.
I don't know, there were like 2 tents. Like I
Were there
could
2
imagine,
tents? Okay.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
okay.
We
I could
talked
see
to-
them like squeezing in like 8 or 10.
We talked to a representative over there, and there's 500 people at a time is what they're looking at its
Yeah.
capacity.
Okay. Yes.
That
yeah.
adds
That
up.
tracks.
Yeah.
It looked like it would.
That's not large.
No.
Yeah, so
not that
they're
many
looking to
people.
cycle people through pretty quickly. But you saw stuff this morning, right? Did you go to?
I went to Activision and I
Activision.
saw Call of Duty.
Okay.
How
and-
is that?
So they showed the piece from the press conference, and they showed another piece. The piece from the press conference looks like it did in the press conference, just a little bit longer or whatever. But
So did they play it or they showed it?
they showed it.
Okay.
They showed it, and they showed a bit that was taking place on the ground, and kind of more standard Call of Duty looking type stuff. But you're kind of fighting against enemy soldiers and robots and like all this crazy stuff. And then he trucks along like that for a while, and then kind of gets the call of like, well, for a while you're calling in VTOLs that are coming down and taking out enemies. You're painting the targets yourself and doing that sort of stuff. Looks like some Call of Duty type stuff. Nice looking stuff, really nice looking stuff. And then a VTOL lands like, hey, we need you up here. And you're like, okay. And it looks like you walk up, hold down square, get into the thing, and then fucking fly to space.
Okay.
And it's you just like it was from a gameplay demo, so it was showing
Yeah.
prompts like hey, hold up, hey, push L3 to launch, and like all that sort of stuff, and you just like go, and then you fucking go, and fly to fucking space, and you see booster fuel dropping, and you go through the atmosphere, and then you're in space, and as soon as you're up there, you're just in dogfights. And it looked like hearing them talk about it, it sounds like it is, kind of off rails at that point. You can't just fly wherever. It's not like I'm going to Saturn, but it's like Eve Valkyrie style, kind of like here's an area that you can fly around a dogfight.
Is it lasers?
It's like cannons. Like that's kind of the cool thing about the way the combat looked is that it all seems real fucked up.
Okay.
Because it's not lasers. It's
like turrets and
ballistic
stuff?
weaponry and like flak cannons in space.
Yeah.
Does that work?
And you think about that sort of stuff in terms of because
because the velocity carries
imagine
it.
getting your
So it
fucking
doesn't drop,
spacesuit
right?
torn open
That's no
by
good.
fucking flat.
Those are important.
There's it made it seem dangerous in a way that space like sci-fi stuff doesn't. Like it made it seem like rough in a
Lasers
way.
don't
like
feel like real.
The premise I got
Yeah.
was that like this is relatively early into the notion of space combat. Like this is not like haven't been doing this for decades and decades. It's like
Yeah.
they're still kind of working some of this
You
shit
saw
out.
some of that stuff in the stuff from the press conference where you're putting like charges onto a glass window
Right,
on
yeah.
that ship, and you see people in there going "fuck," and then they get sucked out into space.
Yep.
But it looks really nice, and it looks like it's its own thing, while
Right.
still having some very kind of grounded in Call of Duty specifics. And I think they're doing something cool with it. They also showed the first mission from Call of Duty Modern Warfare, which was a lot of fun to watch. Like that remaster.
Does it look good?
It looks really good.
Are they redoing like all the assets?
Yeah,
or?
it's
really.
I mean, as far as I can tell,
It's noticeably.
well, it looks relatively modern. There's
Okay.
some animation stuff that maybe could be a little tighter or a little better or something like that. But like they're putting in work, like the lighting, the models, like all that sort of stuff. It's just a really nice looking game. It was nice to see. It's like it's been 9 years since that game came out. It's been 9 years since we saw that demo.
I know.
At E3.
Yeah, like roughly to the day.
Yeah, and like
All gillied up.
and saw
Wow.
that someone came back, Jason Ocampo came back
Yep.
to the booth after
Yep.
seeing that demo
Yep.
and said, "Fucking, you need to see this
Yeah.
shit."
And like, remember that was coming off of Call of Duty 3, which was like fine, but kind of whatever.
And I remember all of us were just like, "Yeah, okay,
like a
yeah, all right,
Call
we'll
of Duty?
go see
Okay,
the Call of
sure."
Duty demo," and then went and saw it, and we're like, "Fucking holy shit!"
Yeah.
And seeing it this many years later, I mean, obviously, like so much has changed since then with that franchise, but. It felt good to be sitting in a room at E3 watching Call of Duty 4
Yeah.
in a weird way.
Sure.
Like I sat there watching that demo and reflecting on my life. I was like, man, this is real weird. This is real weird.
Was it really 9 years ago?
Yeah.
2007.
Yep.
When it came out?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was the E3 where they showed it too.
Yeah.
There are 11-year-olds who are now 20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So that was
Yep.
actually like talking to someone who handles PR for Activision. That was actually something that he brought up. He said, there are people who were like 8 when that game came out.
Wow.
now I can legally play this.
And hopefully they weren't playing it back then.
That now maybe they can check it out.
Man.
And I think it helps with if people look at that and go, I don't want all this space. There's this other thing
Right.
that is.
I kind of just
I want
that.
the space.
Yeah.
Precisely what
I
you
want
want.
that fucking
Precisely
space,
what
man.
you
I
want.
kind of just want Call
Yeah,
of Duty
but
4.
also I think that space stuff looks really neat too. I mean,
It's-
they're not talking about the multiplayer, so we don't know if maybe space will fuck up the multiplayer in a really weird way, or maybe it'll make it its own thing.
I guess
like,
the thing with me is that like I feel like and this is like you've heard this from me a billion times. Do something new and interesting.
Yeah.
Imagine that game wasn't called Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. It was just a thing that was like a space game, a
Yeah.
shooter that happens to take place in space.
Yeah, but
it's an anthology
them
series.
Putting the
Right.
words Call of Duty on that thing means that they get to spend a lot of money on making it.
Yeah.
And
Right.
the thing I'll say about that demo, it looked expensive.
Right.
Like every little bit of that, you're like, man, you guys spend money on this fucking thing.
Yeah.
It looked
what they do.
really cool.
That's what
It
they spend
looked
their
really
money
cool.
on.
You see anything else?
I checked out Skylanders. Watched a little Crash Bandicoot in Skylanders. He spins around. He breaks stuff. You make your own Skylander. You can set there's a phrase that you can say whenever it gets on there, and you pick from 2 lines of phrases. So I think the one was I'm crazy about my emotions. So it's like I'm crazy about my emotions was that. But it can be I'm crazy about my missiles, or it's like all this other stuff that you can kind of fit these phrases together, which is funny. Like all the customization stuff is cool. It's a crystal. It's like Trap Team, which I wish that you were snapping together a Skylander and
Yeah.
building a thing, but like with the number of parts that it looks like they're having in that thing, that would be unrealistic. You'd be buying parts packs for the rest of your life. It'd be stupid. It'd be crazy.
And Lord knows they wouldn't want that.
Yeah, well, dude, they're already selling tiny crystals and like all these Skylander senseis that'll unlock more parts. So yeah, they'll have something you can buy to unlock more
Skylander
parts.
sensei.
Don't worry.
Yeah. All right.
It looked neat for what it is. I came away from it going like that's a cool twist on this stuff. But you kind of know what that is at this point.
We kicked off the show with Agents of Mayhem.
We did. Yeah.
Played that.
Yeah. That seems interesting. We're gonna wrap up here pretty quick, so we'll talk about it quickly. But
Okay.
it's you select 3 characters and then you can choose between them, and you kind of one
Swap.
teleports out as one teleports in. It's not like a Lego game where they're all right there. And they have individual abilities. So like Hollywood, that guy, he's got a grenade launcher.
Does he do the thing with the stunt double?
That was not. So when you charge up a meter, you get mayhem, and when you do that, he puts on glasses, and then there are just explosions everywhere. He's like, it's action movie time, and then your gun shoots faster.
So the tone sounds very
But
Saints Row.
those characters level up.
Okay.
So maybe you're unlocking different abilities and different stuff. So I would hope the stunt double thing would be in game because that seems like it should be there.
That demo felt pretty early to me.
Yeah, well, so I turned up the camera sensitivity because the default setting on that thing was like very sluggish.
Yeah, just kind of everything about the shooting and movement felt like it hadn't been tuned much.
Definitely, definitely. But I think it looks nice, and the tone is there. It's not quite. It doesn't feel. It's hard to tell from one mission, right?
Yeah.
But like it is irreverent.
Does it
in
feel like a
Saints Row like
parody?
way.
It wasn't as biting as the last 2 Saints Row games have been, I would say.
Yeah.
Does it
yeah.
feel like a
but-
parody of anything in particular?
They're
like
kind of
action
pulling
movies?
from Saturday morning cartoon style
Okay.
stuff, and kind of little bits here and there, but nothing. It's not like a specific parody.
Okay.
It looked promising.
Yeah,
I'd
yeah,
say.
yeah,
Yeah. But I think it's the gameplay has to come kind of a long way. I think in that on the tuning front. Cool.
I saw Gwent real quick.
Yeah.
It's Gwent.
How's that
It's-
going?
It's a new interface. There's like kind of 3D art on some of the cards.
Yeah.
Even like a lot of the art actually reminds me of something like the Telltale stuff, like the Wolf Among Us or the Walking Dead stuff. Really stylized, like cool look for The Witcher. Like I would play a whole Witcher game with that art style. There's a campaign where you like explore a map from like an isometric perspective with side missions and
Weird.
stuff.
Okay.
It's all voiced. It's like a 10-hour long campaign. There might be multiple 10-hour long campaigns. It reminds me of like Puzzle Quest or something where it's like, I
sure,
go into a
sure.
fight
Wow, right,
against
okay.
this monster who's this ability, and now like I have to build around that.
Right.
I'm sorry, did they say anything about platforms?
I played it with a controller. They did. It's coming this fall. The beta's coming this fall, not the game. There's a beta coming this fall to Xbox One and PC.
Okay.
And then later for PS4, and I think it releases next year.
Console
I
and
think.
PC to start.
Console and PC
Nothing
to start.
they didn't say anything about mobile.
That's got to be on the horizon.
I don't remember
yeah,
if they said
sure.
anything about mobile. I
Okay.
don't remember. The only other thing I'll say about it is that like it was cool to play a game of Gwent with like a well-developed Gwent deck. Because like in The Witcher, I haven't had time
Yeah.
to get a good Gwent deck, and that game's pretty good. I think that's it's there.
All right.
People want it.
Waluigi Amiibo.
Yes, and the Waluigi amiibo is coming.
You're welcome.
Congratulations.
Shut down E3.
All right, we're going to shut it down and let these guys move on with their lives, and then I will be back with you.
Why are you
with
pointing at your
some
dick?
It's upside down L.
That's what he thinks.
Waluigi. I guess it looks like I'm pointing at my dick. I was
named
trying
it
to do the Waluigi.
Is Waluigi just pointing at his dick?
That would be a Waluigi thing to do. Just man.
He named it Waluigi.
No, it's his name. It's Lil Waluigi.
We'll be back
Lil Wall.
after this break.
God damn it.